Well, it won't be the wind, it's the water Gulf Coast states are worried about as Tropical Storm Barry bears down on the Gulf of Mexico. Coming up, how New Orleans is preparing for the expected flooding.
A man in custody after a shelter in place here on the campus of Montana State University who is threatening harm on himself and possibly others with guns.
With so many people in town for the Montana Folk Festival, an agency in Butte is taking the time to teach people about the Berkeley Pit and the Superfund cleanup.
Good morning and happy Friday to you. I'm Missy O'Malley with Chet Lehman. Matt Ella has our forecast here in a few moments for your weekend. Our top story for you now, Louisiana officials are ramping up storm warnings as Tropical Storm Barry approaches the coast.
Kristen Holmes is in New Orleans with the latest on that storm.
Well, the wind and rain is just now starting to pick up here, and as the storm churns towards the Gulf Coast, the National Hurricane Center advises that Barry could become a hurricane as early as tonight.
We cannot pump our way out of the water levels and the waterfalls that are expected to hit the city of New Orleans.
Officials reiterating calls for Gulf Coast residents to be prepared as Tropical Storm Barry barrels toward land.
I am ready to jump on that last minute out like I was with Katrina.
While residents buy out store shelves, stocking up on essentials like bread and water, the storm continues to intensify over the warm waters of the Gulf. Barry is expected to make landfall Saturday as a hurricane. But the National Weather Service is asking people not to focus on the storm's strength. Rather, they want people to be vigilant about water levels.
The number one threat is going to be water, is going to be the flooding and the heavy rainfall.
And residents seem to be taking those warnings to heart.
We've never had the river this high. A storm come in, the levees so saturated. All these different components are adding up to just to be a unique circumstance.
And officials say that some areas could get 10 to 25 inches of rain. Reporting from New Orleans, I'm Kristen Holmes. Back to you.
Unbelievable, 10 to 25 inches. Now, the weather from the Tropical Storm Barry in the Gulf may not affect us directly, but it might affect your wallet.
Yeah, Barry is disrupting oil companies in the Gulf. Prices rose to $60 a barrel. Many workers have been evacuated from rigs off the coast of Texas and Louisiana.
Now, if the storm disrupts oil operations for a long period of time, we will likely see a rise in prices at the pump, but it won't be anytime too soon.
Typically, if crude oil prices increase, that increase won't affect the price at the pump for about 6 weeks.
Montana average prices have been trending slightly lower, while the national average has gone up by 10 cents in the last week.
6:33 now. Meteorologist Matt Elwell steps in. We were talking about Tropical Storm Barry bearing down out of the Gulf of Mexico. Fortunately, we're not seeing anything remotely like that here this week.
No, and Barry actually showing signs of weakening, at least by the time it makes landfall. Not expected to make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane, so that's good news.
Very good.
As we're moving through the day. It looks like our temperatures for the morning are holding into the 50s for most of us. Our potential for showers and thunderstorms, I don't know why, it just likes this graphic. You get to enjoy that.
It's hypnotic.
Yeah, it is. Temperatures this morning into the 50s, so we've had a few thunder showers off to our north, but those are slowly migrating their way eastward. Pop-up showers and thunderstorms for the mid-afternoon, early evening. I don't think it's going to impact us directly for everybody in the viewing area, but certainly a possibility there. We'll look at that and your weekend ahead coming up.
Thank you for that, Matt. Our top story for you now. Locally, one man is in custody after causing Montana State University to go into shelter-in-place mode yesterday.
MTN's Cody Boyer was on campus during the situation and has the details.
In the end, about 2 hours after this all started, campus police say they found the man here inside Norm Asbjornson Hall. Now, MSU Police Chief Frank Parrish says this began with a social media post from an employee, a current employee here on campus.
MSU police received a report of a threat made by an MSU employee.
After that, officers moved quickly, locking all buildings, and immediately started looking for the man behind it.
The suspect stated to a family member that he was ready to end it all, and he has all of his guns loaded
and he was ready to take out anyone with him.
Agents from across the area rallied, working through the county 911 center and the emergency alert system. The suspect was nowhere to be found, but just minutes before had been at the campus police station.
In this particular case, we didn't know where the suspect was. We knew he was on campus because he came by about 20 minutes prior to that and bought a parking pass. He was also scheduled for a 2 o'clock meeting, a dismissal hearing. He was an employee going through the disciplinary process.
And according to Chief Parrish, the man was possibly armed with several guns.
We were told that the suspect had 2 shotguns and a rifle. We have not recovered those at this time, but that's all the information that we have on that. He was not armed at the time he was taken into custody.
Police worked quickly, using the county emergency alert system and sending text alerts out to students and staff, putting the university into shelter-in-place mode, something both campus officials and all police agencies involved say might have changed how this played out.
The joint operation with the county 911 center allowed us to dispatch units from all over the county instantaneously, something that in the past we didn't have the capability of doing.
The emergency alert system is absolutely vital. I mean, in a situation where we've got something fast-moving happening, we want to be able to get that information out quickly.
And with that, the shelter in place was lifted. No one was hurt, and the man was sent to the Gallatin County Detention Center. Without the help of technology and teamwork, Chief Parrish says this could have ended much differently.
They followed the procedures that we trained them in doing. They listened to the emergency alert. I'd also like to really thank leadership here at MSU, because without their support, we wouldn't have been able to put these security measures in place that I believe makes MSU very safe.
Investigators are still looking for the weapons that Chief Parrish does confirm that this man had access to. Police also impounded his car in a parking lot near Norm Asbjornson Hall, also here on campus in Bozeman. Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, as Cody mentioned, investigators still looking for those weapons mentioned by the suspect in those social media posts.
In other news, police in Butte are stepping up security for this weekend's 3-day music festival in the mining city.
While extra officers will be on hand for the Montana Folk Festival, please do not expect much rowdy behavior. The evening begins tonight, runs through Sunday in Uptown Butte. Over the last 12 years, police usually respond to people overcome by heat.
And in other news, the Park County Sheriff's Office says a 74-year-old man from Texas died in the Shields River just north of Livingston yesterday.
Yeah, Under Sheriff Clay Herbst says the man's wife reported him missing just before 10 o'clock Wednesday night after he failed to return from a walk. The man was believed to be in good health at the time, but it is unknown if he had a medical emergency that led to him to fall under the river or if he just simply fell in.
And an Air Force helicopter from Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls with an infrared camera was called in to help with the search. Search continued throughout the night but failed to locate the man. Then Thursday morning, search and rescue crews on the ground were able to finally locate the man's body.
They were afraid he was hung up. They weren't able to get out to him and reach him. So we called Gallatin County's search and rescue team over with their Swiftwater team to assist us with getting him out of the water.
Name of the victim has not yet been released. Authorities have not decided yet if an autopsy will be performed.
And officials in Butte are trying to stop misconceptions about the city's image and its drinking water.
MTN's John Amy tells us how some groups are planning on educating people at the Montana Folk Festival about issues like the Berkeley Pit and the environmental cleanup efforts.
With thousands of people expected to visit Butte this weekend for the Montana Folk Festival, city officials are using this opportunity to showcase the positives about the mining city.
So it's to take the negatives and to turn them into positives.
The group Butte Elevated was formed to highlight all the positive parts of Butte and dispel the misconceptions about the city, including its large Superfund site and the Berkeley Pit.
We have the Berkeley Pit where the drinking water, that's not drinkable water, but we have some of the cleanest water in the state of Montana with the Basin Creek Treatment Plant, the water treatment facility.
Members of the group Pit Watch are at the Berkeley Pit viewing stand this week to educate all the visitors stopping in Butte for the festival about the pit and the cleanup efforts being done in Butte.
And we've seen in the conversations we've had here just over the last couple hours that it was a good idea. We're teaching people and telling people things that they didn't know.
Some visitors think the message is getting out and Butte's future is bright.
There's a lot of things to do here in town and out of town. If you just want to go out and get lost in the woods or in the mountains, that's easy to do too. I think it's going to grow. I don't think it's going to get smaller.
And with so many people passing through this tunnel each year to get to the viewing stand, they're hoping to make this sort of like a museum about the cleanup effort, because Butte's future in mining will be about reclamation.
We've been the mining city since we were born. We'll be the environmental remediation and management city for that long too. I mean, it's we've restored and repaired and managed things here on a scale that is equal to the scale at which it was mined.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
By the way, the Pit Watch Group will be at the Berkeley Pit again today from noon to 4 in the afternoon, providing information to visitors.
And if you haven't taken the tour and to look around there,
It's
it
awesome.
is really
You know,
cool.
it's
It's really fascinating.
Definitely a good tour. There's no question about it.
Yes, sir. It is time for a quick